go ahead and show you what I'm thinking. The thing that I am thinking is that this worked fairly well. I think it made the point. I told you all it was 138 drawings. And I did not remind you, because I thought that you could figure it out, that you can just really do this with 16 drawings, right? Can I see some people nodding? That this is not a 138 frame cycle, right? Yes, okay, Madison says yes. You can just do it in 16 frames, or whatever the factor of 3 would be. 3, 6, 9, 18, you know, something like that, whatever the factor is. Because this was on 3s. Oh no, I lied, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's on 3s. Oh, and so let me show you just the easy way to do this. So come on. So I'm going to extend my timeline out another bunch of frames. Oops, hold on. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. In the timeline, you can zoom into the timeline with your 1 and 2 keys on the keyboard. All right, so just a really simple way to do this is if you got your timeline, let's just take a look at the timing right now. And I'm going to stop it because I don't want to see all these blank frames down here. So you just look at it and you evaluate it and you're like, okay, the smoke is coming out. I would think that if you were looking at a chimney smoke, that might work, but let's see what it looks like on 4s. So you take this and you select your first frame, and then you shift select all these, and then you right click, and then you say exposure, extend exposure. That's not what you want. You want exposure here, and then you go to increase exposure, and you could I don't think that's going to work. If you do that, it's not going to work. You would say set exposure to, and then it should give you a dialog box to set it to 4. So we're just going to set this to 4 and say okay. And it extends all the frames out to 4. So that's a really easy way to go from 1s to 2s to 3s to 4s. All right, so now let's take a look and see what the timing looks like on 4s. Let me extend the arc and the BG out using F5. I think this works fine. You know, it is 20% longer now, but it's also easier to in-between. It's easier to in-between 4s than it is to figure out what the in-betweens would be on 3s. And so that's fine. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to save this. And I'm just going to put the sphere thing away. Remember that you probably only need, yeah, it's like 16 drawings or something in order to get that to work. All right, so I'm going to put that away. And I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to turn my arc and my layout out off. And so we're going to come back to this in just a moment. Let me take a look at this. And I should have had this queued up, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. I keep forgetting where I put it. I don't know where I put it. I was just going to review it, but I forget where I put it. All right, so let me change that just for a moment. All right. Javon, you showed up. Actually, let me go back. Let me see what this one is. Oh, that was just me and Janeska.
I thought that was only what was needed, because I took it as just like super rough. I didn't do like the first pass because I thought it was
Right.
just, yeah.
Well, and I think this will work. It's certainly, I think this is a little fast.
Yeah, I just slowed it down right now. I did, because that's threes, I
Right.
think.
Yeah, I think that it would work. It certainly needs to be slowed down.
Okay.
But it would work. I think it's correct. But let's look at the other ones, and then we'll look at the other variation that I was thinking about for today. All right, so Jinhee, I think this works pretty well. This is a strange shape right here, this little nub thing right here.
Yeah.
And this always happens too, that that you start out with a good shape on your first key, and then you kind of flatten things out. It always happens. Like right here, there's a flatness right here, and certainly a flatness here, and just some, you have to think about it in terms of aesthetics on everything you do. So there are a couple of odd shapes, like we'll just stop right there, stop. So, oh, stop. I think you start out okay, but it just gets a little flat. The timing is okay. It's almost like you want this kind of pluming shape right here to be on the outside as well. But the timing is okay. But I think that it's also kind of really directional. You know what I mean? I think that it would behoove you. How long did you spend on this, Jinhee?
A few
17 hours, Billy.
hours. A few hours.
3?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
that's
I
a
wasn't
long,
exactly sure if it was correct or not.
long time. All right. Because I think that you could certainly use just a little bit more right here, and changing this outside arc to something like that might help. I think that just making that correction would help right there. I think it's working, and I also think that you might want to change the idea of doing the wispy thing that we'll talk about today.
Okay.
All right, Isaiah. All right, so right away, before I even look at it, it's like curve, 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 right? Like lots of little curves.
Yeah.
So this took you forever. This took you 4 hours at least, I can just tell.
Yeah, probably.
And because there's so many of them, you've got actual strobing going on.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that.
I think that it's moving correctly, but there's so many little outside curves that, yeah, I think that what you need to do here is simplify.
Okay.
So remember what I said about a variety of shapes. So you want, and remember this kind of an adage that we use for many of the effects and anything really in art that you do: small, medium, super small, a little bit more medium, super small, and then big, right? I think that trying to mix up your shapes and getting a good variety of shapes is the key to making this thing work and not spending forever and a day animating it. So yeah, I think that mixing up a variety of shapes is your key here. So I think that it's working just in terms of the overall motion. But so I think that what you can do maybe is maybe flatten that out and put these two together, and then just do those two through the cycle, right? Just do those two and then go back and rewind. How many frames do you have in the cycle?
It's I put it twice, so it's 32 frames.
32. That's not too bad, but that would be my suggestion, is just go back and adjust all those little small. So you've got the medium, or you could call this big, but yeah, just adjust it so that you don't have so many little mini inside outside curves right there. All right, Luisa. All right. Okay, so how many drawings do you have, Luisa?
Probably, oh, I don't know, actually.
12? 8?
I think more.
All right. I think that it's not quite moving correctly. You got to remember that you're thinking about a volcano, and that you want this volcano. So there's a couple of adjustments. I think that sometimes adjusting it takes you longer than redoing it. And I don't think I told you the story of my grandma yet, but when I was like 11 or 12, you know, I went over there, my grandma's house for vacation. And on that particular day, she had some worker guy come out, and he was supposed to be redoing the screens on her back porch. And she lived in a house in southeastern Cleveland, Ohio. And the guy spent like, I don't know, maybe 2 hours futzing around with these screens on her porch. And he came back and he's like, well, Miss O'Malley, these frames that are in the screen thing here, they're kind of deteriorating, and so I should probably replace these. And she said, okay. So he disappeared for a couple of hours, and then he came back and he worked for a couple of hours and did the screens, the frames. And then he came back and he said, oh, well, the frames sit inside these larger frames for the window itself, and those were kind of falling apart, and he needed to redo those too. And then he disappeared for a couple of hours, and then he came back and he was redoing those, and he said, oh, Miss O'Malley, you know, the struts, the studs need to be redone. And instead of like looking at it carefully and just saying, oh, Miss O'Malley, I think that you need to redo this whole part right here. And then he could have just gone out once and get the wood and the frames and been done with it in 2 days. Instead, it took him like a week, and it cost my grandma tons of extra money. So, Louisa, I would think that you might want to try something like moving your focal point from the very middle, because that only gives you this range for a smoke, over here or over here. And let them, so you got your cinematic focal points, and just kind of give yourself a volcano, you know, and then give yourself a path of action for the smoke, and then just kind of figure out a better way to get the shapes moving. And I'm just roughing this in, and I usually don't do it this way because it's usually a little messy. but that's okay. So from this rough, you would just say, okay. And give yourself a better key. Because I think that this is looking more like teapot steam.
Mm-hmm.
And you can either choose to do it the way we did it last week or the way I'm going to show you now. But yeah, I think that you're not following the rules of art here, or following the rules of animation. All right, so then you just do the bottom. And remember, you don't want to like always do an outside curve against, you know, you've got like these forms right here. You don't always need to do an opposite outside curve. Sometimes you do, but if you do it too much, it'll look like dog poop. And you don't quite want to make it look like dog poop.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that something like this might help you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think that your volcano is over here. Your caldera. And I think that it's good if it expands out on the top instead of just kind of looking steam. So remember, you are about a mile or two away from this. All right, do you want to take a screenshot of that?
Okay.
Got it?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that you've got, I think that just for this being a mile away, you've just got 3 outside curves over here. And 1, 2, 3, 4 outside curves over here. I think it's just a little too simple. Something like this might work for a teapot, or using this kind of effect for the cauldron in your final. But again, I don't think that it's moving quite correctly, because this node would have to animate into this node, would have to animate, just like the flag. Right? Just like the flag. This node would have to animate into this node, into this node. And so if this is an extra node, you might want to add one here, but I would suggest you making it, and you've got no breeze. There's no wind blowing left or right. So, and I don't think that you can repair it. I think it might be easier to just redo it. And don't worry, it's not going to affect your grade.
Okay,
I don't
thank
really
you.
care about grades. I want to make sure that you're making awesome stuff. All right, Jordan.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, so I don't think it's animating correctly. And this is not your fault. This is my fault. Because what I have is quite literally marbles that are supposed to be animating through a tube, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that what you would want to do maybe is a third version, so that remember that when we did the flag, this shape here animated across the arc like this.
Yes.
So what you want to do maybe is animate this shape going into this shape, going into this shape. And what that means is that if your arc is like this, that the in between, or the breakdown position is going to be here.
Yeah, that's what I had the most trouble with. I understood.
And it's not your fault. This is my fault, because I was showing you just outside curves.
Yeah, I didn't.
And we could talk
I kept
about
trying to
this
figure out how to like engineer it, but I don't have really a background in animation like some people here, and it was difficult to kind of like, I could wrap my head around the concept, but actually drawing in between each frame, like I knew I needed to get it from position A to position B to position C.
Right.
But every time I tried to do it, it would just look like an intestinal track.
Right.
Yeah,
I understand. I understand. But let's just kind of look at this. and maybe I can direct you. So
Yeah, that would
here
help.
you've got your main key number 1, right? And in key number 1, there might actually be a bigger position out here. I don't know if you need that one or not. But what you would actually be doing then is animating this circle going into this position. And this again would be frame number 1, frame number 1, frame number 1. And then if you're going to do this, just like we talked about last week, you just kind of plot this out. How many do you have? So you set key number 1 and you figure out how much timing you want. If it's going to be on 4s eventually, all you're trying to figure out is how many in-betweens you have along this arc right here. And it's good that you've got these up and down shapes right there. So then this becomes your next, this becomes the breakdown position. And you can see that just by the way you've drawn it, that the breakdown position is fairly close to being in the middle. So if you look at that little spheres test that I did,
Yeah.
your spheres test would be that your spheres are just getting a little bigger.
Yep.
They're not getting smaller. Yours are just getting bigger as they go out, right? And so, so this is your breakdown position. And so then you come over here and you just say, okay, that's my breakdown position. And in this animation, your motion is going to be pretty constant. It's not slowing down or speeding up or anything. It's not slowing in or slowing out in terms of animation. It's just moving at a regular pace. And so then you say, okay, now I definitely need a position here that is in between the key and the breakdown position. All right, so that means that you've got this in terms of your chart. This is a traditional animation chart. And then, so you animate that. So then you get the ball to be here and here and here. Is everybody listening? Because this is a good way to do it. So then this ball is going to go, you look at this point and this point for the outside curve, and you in between it. And then you look at this point to this point and you in between it, and you just make your circle. It's okay if they overlap. Then the same thing, this green line is going to animate into this orange line, and the in between is about right here. And so then you start to draw your circle like that. And so that's this position, right?
Yeah.
So we'll just call that the O position. And all those are the same drawing. Now, green, so there's a drawing right here. So you have to go backwards. So there's a green position right here that's coming out, and probably a blue position coming out as well, probably just a little bit. And then you so now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 drawings. That's all you've got right now is 4 different drawings. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
So you've got green, black, orange, and then this black should actually be a different color. Green, black, orange, black. That's all you've got are these 4 drawings right here. And they copy out here. So you've only got 4. You probably need 8. And so then you go back in and then you would do the in-betweens between each one of these. And now you've got 8. And so between the green and the red, you've got a drawing that goes here. And the more I draw this, the messier it'll be, right? So you're going from green into black. And so so just as an example, you would have to draw this position here. And that gets it to work much better, right? So now you've got 8 drawings, and 8 drawings on your chart, because this is actually drawing 1 again down here, which is kind of why I said last week about 11 o'clock, hey, everybody, I just woke up, you know. So let's just count your drawings. Drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 drawings in this cycle. You understand?
Yeah, I
Okay,
understand that.
so what's that?
It's just like it initially you had me at the first start. It's just as you started adding more of the circles, it started to make the diagram a little bit harder to understand. I get that there's 8 drawings in between each of the frames, and that essentially it's like a sine wave that goes in and out relative to the position of the imaginary circles that you're trying to picture.
Yes.
It's just when you're actually drawing it. So like you have your frame 1, which is like the base. So you have your 3 like main positions, which you labeled as 1. And then in between those positions, you have those 8 drawings. As what's the best approach? Like when I had that set up last night, it's just every time I would do the in-between frames, the drawing would start to get more crude and messed up because I was kind of confused on, I guess, how that sine wave would be snaking kind of in and out on the tops and bottoms. Like, I guess visually seeing it would help a lot.
Right. So take a screenshot of this for yourself. And let me know when you're done.
All right, I have it.
Got it. All right. So the easiest way to do this for you would be I'm going to turn my arc back on. And so right now I'm just going to use a ellipse tool, and I'm going to make the ellipse red. And so right here, I'm going to constrain proportions just to make a circle. And then I'm going to switch to my selection tool, which is Option S. And I'm going to select it, and I'm going to copy it and paste it. And I'm going to move it here. And hold on a second. I got too much stuff in there. I don't know why I'm picking up something else. There we go. Copy, paste, move. So I'm going to move it to here. I'm going to expand it. I'm going to move it again. I'm going to copy and paste it. So this is my frame 1. Like that. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. Damn it. Hold on a second. I didn't want to draw it on the arc layer. Let me, and I think you might know what I'm going to do. All right, on this test layer, I'm just going to draw my first sphere. Just constraining proportions. Option S, select it, copy. I'm going to move it, paste it. I'm going to move it. I'm going to make it bigger. So these are all these spheres. Copy and paste. Move it. Constrain. And remember that this is just getting your in the key positions, right? And so I'm going to go to I'm going to go out to like frame 12. And then I'm going to hold on a second. I'm going to actually copy these. And paste them. So right now what I want to do is that's my in-between. It's that I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to move it about halfway. But right here, halfway is in the down position, right? You understand that part?
Yeah.
So then I'm going to take this one, I'm going to move it into the down position, and I'm going to squish it a little bit because that's kind of what it looks like on the key. And then this one, it's almost already off the screen anyway. I'm just going to move it over there. So if I go like here to here, you can see that it's just jiggling around a little bit. So what I need to do is I need to go to this frame and add an empty frame, and then paste it again, turn my onion skin on, and then in between the positions. So this guy, let me make sure that I pasted it correctly. Hold on. Okay, so I think I pasted it correctly. So this guy has got to move from here to here, and it's going to get a little bigger. Right, just so you see that moving, just this part right here.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. Then you go through the whole thing with the spheres, and you get those 3 spheres to move on your arc, and then you use it with your pencil tool to just draw this part of the outside curve here. So you're mimicking your sketch, but you're using the spheres to guide you about where those outside curves are. Right, and so that's a good way to do it. The way I did it here was that I just drew one sphere and then just animated it up the track. But the idea would be is that instead of just animating one, you're animating 3 at the same time, right? So if you look at my fingers,
Yeah.
instead of animating 1, you're animating 3 at a time, and you're only using a portion of the 180 frames, so that you can get it to cycle correctly.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
then you're using, and then you get that to move, and again, I think that in my version here, what I had done was added in the layout, and I turned the arc, I put a crosshair in the middle of that circle so that I knew where to put it on my arc. And on my arc, I also redid my arc a little bit so that the arc was in the middle of the circle, because in my demo last week, this arc was just a little high, and so was I. Funny, Billy. And then, so I was using that little circle right there to guide me with the hashtag, with the little hashes. See how they're kind of matching on the arc? I'm just watching this crosshair right here. See it?
Yes. And
So
it's
that's
loading.
one version. That's one way to do this. But remember, by the time you get to this position, right? Well, it depends on what your key is, and you really don't want 85 drawings in the cycle unless there's only 16 drawings. So here you've got your first key, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So you've got 20 drawings in this cycle, which isn't bad. 20 drawings is not that hard to do. It's like you said, it's just a little confusing, right?
Yeah. And so, okay, so I understand the position now. So on the frames in between though, since there's like a lot of I guess there's a lot of space for between the drawing, like you have your under drawing, right? For your arc layer, and then your general like shape of the smoke. How do you go about drawing the parts that I guess the circle isn't covering? Like, do you understand what I'm trying to ask? Like,
Yeah, I think so. What I'm suggesting here is that on this, you're using the circle to guide you. And like on, let's just find that this good frame. So like on this frame right here, the circle would need, the sphere would need, so this is just going to be layer number 4. And so on this particular drawing right here, you would use your pencil tool, because at this point your spheres would be working, right? So on this part, you're just going to, oh, I don't want to use red. On this, for this one, you're just going to use this part right here, just to describe what the outside of the curve is going to look like, and maybe this part too. And right here, that's where it breaks apart. And then on the bottom, you're just going to use this part. So you're using your spheres, your circles, to just help you guide this part right here.
And then what would you do for the rest of the drawing? Would you just trace over your, like?
Well, if I was going to go to like the next drawing, I turn my onion skin on.
Oh no, I meant like just on that frame you were working on. Like, what would you like? Are you just going to trace over the under drawing you already have for the previous frame, like after you had the position of the circle?
Well, so right now the under drawing, this blue sketchy pencil line,
Yeah,
that's my main key, right? And the drawing that I just drew for you is my tie down of it. It's like my now I'm actually designing the smoke itself. So here I'm going to follow the curve, and then I've got to get this little outside bump working, like right here. And I'm going to look at my timing, and I'm going to say all these drawings here are about 3/8 of an inch apart from each other. So anytime I draw an arc like this or like this, it really should be this distance away from each other.
okay, and that's
another way to do it. Then you go out here, you add another blank frame, and then you just keep repeating. So you follow the arc and you stop about right there. You get this little bump right there. And this is like part of what I did last week for you that might help you make more sense of it, because you know that this circle is working, and animating that circle literally only took 10 minutes, because I was just copying and pasting it and getting the center to be on the arc itself.
Yeah,
That's all I was doing. And so now that you've got this working, you're just kind of giving it the shape of the smoke itself. And remember too that I didn't do all of them. So on the frame that I'm working on right now, that has to have all the circles before and after it.
yeah, that's what I meant. And then that space in between the major circle shapes, like,
So
what would you do
if
for
you were thinking about it just cleverly, you would know that this is my main key.
Yeah.
Right. This is my main key. So I'm just going to copy my main key here.
Okay.
Like this. I'm just copying it right from the key drawing. All parts of it. And I'm just doing this 9-10 times more quickly, just so that I can make sure you understand it. Right. So I would do that for all of it. And then on the next key, I would know these arcs are moving. And remember that when the arc moves, it has to move like the flag, right? And this is the tricky part.
Yeah.
Because trying to understand how to in between this is not easy, but drawing it like that is not hard to understand. this is not hard to understand when you're looking at it, but when you're down here in the trenches, just get this. It's like, oh, that doesn't look good, right? So if this is the next key, you might want to do it like this. And then this shape right here is, stop it. This shape right here is, stop it. What the heck is going on with my pen? This shape is moving just like this one. So you pretend your sphere is moving, and then you just do this. And then see this little arc right here?
Yeah.
And then you bring that one. And then you connect it because you've already drawn this one. And then you do the same thing with this one. You just animate it like this. And then, oh, you got this one coming, and then connect them. Same thing with this one. And you just go like this. And then this little outside circle like this. And then you got this one. And then connect it.
Okay. And then you,
And then you just
do
keep
this for
doing
like-
that over and over again for what should be 8 drawings.
Okay.
And so that's one way to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think you need to take a screenshot of that. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, hold on, everybody. I've never done that before. I never paused my screen sharing. All right, so I'm going to turn this layer off. I'm going to turn this layer off. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah,
And it might make even more sense when I do the next demo. So if I'm looking at this, you would draw this circle right here, and you could animate straight ahead, but you've got to get this node to go into this position over the course of 8 drawings. And I think it's easier for you to just go, oh, well, this shape is this shape, is this shape. And it's got to animate, and the in-between is going to be here. And again, you go from this point into this point. So that's the in-between right there. And then you're going to go from this point to this point, and the in-between there is about right here. And it is in fact getting bigger. The circle is getting bigger. And so you're just using this to guide you for this part of the curve and this part of the curve. Because technically you've got stuff just wiggling around. And I think that you're also making the mistake of trying to do the final line as you're animating it. And I don't recommend that. I think that you should just use a sketchy line and get the sketchy line animating correctly, and
Okay.
then go back and clean it up.
Gotcha.
Don't try to find the final cleanup line as you're animating it. That's not a good process.
Gotcha.
All right, John.
Yes.
All right, so it's animating okay. I think it's too fast.
Yeah.
It's too fast. And I think that you've got so many of these little outside curves here. Some of them actually appear to be moving backwards. They appear to be not moving backwards, or in some cases, not at all. So like, I'm going to just put the loop on here. And I know that it's not going to actually move correctly. Like look at this. See where my mouse is right here?
Yes.
Well, look at that little arc that you've drawn right here. That little arc right there looks like it's just moving left and right.
Yeah, I see.
It's just because of the odd way you've drawn it. These guys are moving. These guys right here are moving. This is working okay. And I think these guys are moving. I think it's moving too fast. I think that you would slow this down by twice, right?
Ah,
At least by twice, maybe not a little more. But I think that, again, you spent way too long doing this, and you used the technique here of drawing this. Oops, I don't know what I did here. You drew this kind of line, and then this kind of line.
yeah, yes, it's
You
correct.
got, you know, so I would not do this.
No.
It's not natural. It's not natural, John. And I think that you've also got the repetitive shape too. You've got medium, 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 medium. You know, it ends up looking like a smoke snake, if that makes any sense. So I think that you might be able to repair this or adjust this
Yeah.
by doing another layer on top of it. But you also might get more out of the demo that I'm going to do for you here in just a little bit. Yeah, I don't think that you should try to do the outside curve, outside like lines like that, because it just doesn't quite look like smoke.
Okay. Okay.
You might get it to work if you varied up the sizes of your shapes a little bit more. Let me just test it. So if you're going to do this method, you got like a medium and then a small, and then this, and then a small, and then a medium, and then a bigger shape. This is what you're missing, because all these distances right here are the same. Do you see this? Like
Yeah, I
if
saw that.
you've got an arc like this, this is a tangent. The very top of this arc is a tangent, and the very top of this arc is a tangent, and then this one is a tangent. It's like the furthest out that the shape can make. Well, yours are really consistent. Yours are like, and that's not, it's not good smoke. Instead of doing this, you want a variety. So you want small, medium, bigger, medium, small, bigger, medium, small, really small, medium, big. You see the difference right there? So what these things are the, oops, sorry. They're the little shape, the tangent to the shape. Right? Do you understand? It's like this is you drawing. And I think that it doesn't look organic enough. It kind of looks mechanical. It looks industrial. This looks very industrial. What I'm suggesting is that you do this.
Yeah, I can fix that.
You can fix it.
Yeah.
You can fix it. You know, something like that. All right. All right. All right, Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is my fault too. I think that things are not quite moving correctly. I think they're just wiggling around.
All right.
Hopefully you didn't spend forever a day doing this.
No, not forever now.
All right, so after going through the other critiques, you understand what you need to do or have an idea of what you need to do?
Yeah, I think I have an idea what I need to do.
All right, well, maybe the other demo that I'm going to do here in just a minute will make sense. But it does look like it's just wiggling around and it's moving a little too fast. All right, let me continue. We got Janessa.
Billy,
Yeah,
can I ask some question to verify it later after you finish?
sure. Sure. All right, so Janeska, you're on the right track and you're just doing your first test. And you understand how it's moving? Janeska?
Sorry, it was moving too fast, so I changed it to 4s.
Right, and you might need to change it to 8, but I think you've got the right idea. You're just not done with it.
No, I thought that's what was.
No, this is what I wanted for today,
Oh,
for sure. But we're gonna spend another week on this
okay.
because I want to make sure that you all get the smoke correct. All right, John, go ahead.
So I have
Wait,
just
John, Janeska had a question.
Okay.
So what else need to be fixed other than that?
I think that well, it's not fixed. You just need to finish it.
Yeah.
You need to finish it, or you need to decide to do it one of two different ways, because there's a couple of different ways to do smoke, and you just need to decide. All right, and
Okay.
John, what was your question?
If I want to slow it down, should I increase the frame?
Yes. So just like I showed you,
Okay.
you go here and you select all the frames and you right click and you say exposure. Yes.
Yes.
And then you go down here, you say set exposure, and then you change it to however many frames you want. So if it was on 3s, right now mine is on 4s, right? And now I'm going to take mine, I'm going to take it down to 3s. So I'm going to say I want to take it down to 3s, and now it's down to 3s. And that'll make it move faster. Are you using Toon Boom?
No, rough animator.
What are you using?
Rough animator.
So in Rough Animator, this isn't what I want. This is a walk cycle one of my students had done. And it looks like this. So he's just walking right along, right? And right now I have to figure out what he did here. This is his arm. This layer is his feet. This layer is his body. Okay, so he's got the character broken apart into 3 different pieces here. If you're in Rough Animator on this particular frame right here, you just look at it and go duration. See this button right here?
Yep.
So if I just say take it to 3s, there you go.
Okay.
And take it to 4s right there. And I don't think that you can shift select. Yeah, it won't let me, it won't let me select,
Yeah, I don't
all
think
of
it's
but you might be able to use the greater than sign. So I'm using the less than and greater than sign that are right next to the M on the keyboard. So right here, I could just leave this here and just say, I'm going to take this to ones, right? So I'm going to decrease this to ones, use the greater than sign, decrease it to ones, greater than sign, right? So that's a really fast way to do it.
okay. Got it.
All right. All right, so let's talk about another way to do this. So I'm going to show you. Actually, I think what I want to do is throw this layer away. All right. All right, so this is going to be test number 3. I'm going to turn my layout back on. And what I want to do, and I'm going to try to do this. So what I've been showing you is how to go back and do the key and then the breakdown and then the in-betweens. So key, breakdown, in-betweens. But there is, so this is yet another way to do it. I'm going to give myself another new color. I'm going to use this color. I'm going to change this to like a gray or something. All right, so you get your layout, and I think that some of you, like John, you need to work on your layout because I don't want you doing a snake. You're not animating a snake. And so just from your layout, still in rough form, with as simple of a line as you can, you just kind of bring the layout drawing into your animation layer.
Yeah, I think in the beginning I tried to achieve that, but after drawing several frames, I think the reason for what happened is I try to bounce the keys point of the smoke around so that I wanted to make it look it more cartoonish, and then that's the reason that just accidentally draw something into that.
Yeah, but I'm not buying it. It's not quite working yet. I think your motion is working, but your aesthetic is not working yet. All right, so once again, everyone. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking my layout, and again, your layout should be pretty good. It should look like smoke. And you're just kind of tracing what you've got from your layout onto your first key position. And right now I'm not paying strict attention to the quality, to the aesthetic of the line itself. I'm just kind of making sure that I'm staying true to my layout. The gray line I'm drawing right now is not my final line. All right, I'm going to stop about right here. I am paying attention to the variety of shapes, the small, the medium, the little bit bigger, the less than medium, the bigger shapes right here. You know, you want an aesthetic. You want to make sure that it looks like some kind of smoke, right? You want to make sure that it's looking like some kind of smoke. You know, that this is a good one right here for what we're doing right now. So you can leave that just sitting there open, and you can toggle back and forth between it. You could just say, am I drawing those lines that look like this? See what I mean? Everyone okay? All right, so now this part here gets a little tricky. because the way to do it straight ahead, and remember, we've already done the one where I've shown you the spheres. I've already shown you, and it works. You just kind of have to not get confused visually. But there is another way. And this way is I'm going to go out here to, like, say frame 8. I'm going to turn my onion skin on. It's already seeing the drawing that I just did. You can see the red, the light red. Everyone see the light red? And we're going to consider frame 8 to be the breakdown position. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine this shape right here moving into this shape, but instead of moving along this arc right here, which I'm just going to turn off, now I'm just going to animate it by position. So right here, I'm just going to draw a crosshair and a crosshair for where the middle of the position was going to be, right? And I really didn't want it there. If I had my druthers, I think that these crosshairs should be on their own arc layer. If I'll open up a new drawing and I'm going to say arc 2, remember that I'm kind of breaking my rule here by not creating an arc 2 color. But in this arc 2 layer, what I'm going to do right here on this drawing is just kind of get rid of these. And I'm going to do them on the arc layer. I'm just going to stay with my gray right now. So that's the center of this circle. This is the center of this circle. This is the center of this one. I'm on my arc layer. So in this version right here, the smoke is moving like that. And so this is my key position. And I've just got 3 key positions. In the middle of this, I've got my breakdown position. In the middle of this one, I've got my breakdown position. Everyone okay? And so then going from here outwards, I'm going to copy that. And I might need this one, I might not. There's a position here. If I go backwards, I'm going to copy this. So there would be a hidden breakdown position here. All right, so from this, in this example, the in-between would be right here for all of these. And just by looking at this, you can see that it speeds up a little bit. Just it's because just the way I drew it. And then in between each one of these positions, you're going to need an in-between. And it is speeding up right in here. The wind is getting a little faster right there. So you need all of these positions. And this is a good place to just leave the arc by itself. So I'm going to F5 the arc out here and just leave it there. I'm going to go back to my 3 example. We're starting right here. Our drawing is gray. And so this method of animation is animating straight ahead. And the reason, well, you could I'm resisting, but you could do this breakdown position right here. This I'm going to indicate the breakdown position by just like a little dot on top so that we don't get confused graphically, because these are your main keys. These are your main keys. So this is your breakdown. So if you were following along last week and you wanted to not be confused, you would draw this sphere right here. And so this is different because I changed the arc. The arc last week went down and up and down again. This arc is just moving like this. So the first way to draw this is to just draw, just like we did last week, is this sphere right here. And then this big sphere right here for your breakdown positions, right? So we could do that. We could just say, just very lightly, we're going to draw this sphere. very lightly, we're gonna just draw this sphere. And then we're gonna come out here, and this bigger shape, we're not gonna need this one, but it would be out here. All right, so that's your breakdown position. And you just want to get the maybe the underdrawing part of it. And that's just this arc right here, the top and bottom is just what you're going to need. All right, and then we're going to go in between there and open up a blank drawing. We're going to increase our onion skin to include so now we're going to do this pink position. And so the pink position now is right here. Pink position, it's just the center of the circle. So this point right here is animating from here to here. And so you just move your pen and it's about right here. And it has, so this point is moving to there. And so your sphere is about like this. Just drawing it very roughly. This point right here is moving from here to here. And the pink is the center of the arc. And so it's going to be, hold on a second. About right here. All right, then you do it again. And again, it's easy to get confused, but right now we're going to do a blank drawing in between these two. And so now you're going from this position, and now you're doing the green, right? You're going from gray to green. And so you're going from, this is the gray, this is the green. And you're just very lightly doing that. You're going from the gray to the green. Just don't be confused, gray to green. This is the gray, this is the green. So you're just gonna draw this one. You're going from gray to green. You're just gonna draw this one. All right, so that's the way to do it. And then you can see that the animation is gonna look a little different here. It's just gonna look like this. See it? And that's another way to do it. So you're not going to get the little spheres moving through a tube this way. Let me continue just for a little bit. Actually, right now it's a good time to take a break because I could use a drink of water. So let's take a 15-minute break. And when we come back, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to continue to show you this method. And then we're going to do, oops, sorry. I'm gonna just show you how to get this one working, right? And this one doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for the volcano. You might want to use this kind of smoke for your maybe an extinct volcano in the background of your volcano shot. Or the steam or the smoke in your final wizard's lab. All right, so take a 15-minute break. All right, I'm back. So I'm gonna just continue doing the version that I just showed you. And then I'm gonna show you another way, because there's a couple of different ways to do this. Remember that in this way right here, what we're trying to do is get this puff of smoke to move into this position on our new arc. Our old arc, we were just kind of following along, and it works. You know, the wind is blowing, it kind of pushes around. I think that in the first version from last week, it's just sometimes it can look a little odd because it's kind of unnatural that the smoke would be blowing by the wind and that the shape of the smoke could get smaller in the middle here. But it works. I mean, I've seen it work before. So this one is just going to be a little different. This one we're going from this position, and it's just an even wind. And one thing that I didn't explain was that not only is this shape going into this position, right? And I'll do this on the arc so that it makes sense. But this shape, and I'll use an X for this, is moving into this position. Does that all of a sudden, does that make sense? Right? So once again, I'm just gonna, on the first key, I'm just gonna get my whole frame working, just rough. And I'm going to try to just use 2 lines or 1 if I can get away with it, just because I want to know where those shapes are going to be. So let me just get that down on the keyframe. And because this is the first keyframe, I might even go back in and be bold and do these little open circles, these open air pockets while I'm doing this, just to remind myself that we can do, and we should do, these little holes in the smoke, and then eventually highlights and shadows. But we want to get the whole thing moving. So we were, I did that on the arc. Let me Z these back out. Oh, that's fine. All right, so that's my first frame. And remember that eventually you might want to do a paint 2 line out here so that you know to either stop, right? Or that eventually you want to remind yourself that you do want to paint this at some point. If I turn my arc layer back on, right here is where we decided that the top of the volcano was. So let me turn that back off again. All right, so we're working on this layer right here, which is our third test. And we've got most of the drawing for that set. And remember that this underside of the thing is of the smoke is going to move from here to there. So it's also, so what we can do on this arc layer is kind of plot out an arc for it too. And even though it's coming from the center of the cauldron, its position is going to be like down here somewhere. And so that's an important thing to realize, is that it doesn't just show up right here, that its position is here, although it's hidden. And the same is true for this breakdown position and the pink and the green that would go along with it too on the arc, right? And so these timings should be the same right here for whatever these distances are here. They should be the same. And if you wanted to, you could certainly go in and put in your breakdown position. So if we use the same I indicator here, this can be just a tiny bit confusing, but think about it this, the key position for the top part of the smoke is right here. And then the key position for the bottom of the smoke is about right here. But it's in between. The breakdown position is actually in between them. And so if you wanted to use the same little icons, then you could just put the breakdown position on the arc for the bottom of the smoke to be about right here. And then just go out here because you are going to need this position. And just put it here and just be consistent. So use the pink. And so now your first in-betweens for the bottom of the smoke are going to be about right there, about right here, and about right here. And then we're using our green. And then your final in-betweens for the bottom of the smoke are going to be just like that. And so what this does is it sets in your mind the general spacing. And you can see that it is pretty consistent right there. You know, this is my arc layer. I used a bunch of different colors on the arc layer. So unlike Rough Animator, where you can put a transparency on the whole layer, I think I closed my Rough Animator. But on this one, if you wanted to put a transparency on this arc layer here, because you just wanted it to be really faint, then you just have to use your nodes. So we're going to do that just so we can control it. We're going to go to the node view. Let's make sure that we're touching the arc2 layer so that it shows up correctly. We're going to go to the node view. We're going to go to the node library. We're going to go back to the node view. We're going to select everything. And we're going to hit this first button that says 25 pixels overlapping. Say OK. And it blasts these out. And you can zoom with your middle mouse tool. And we're looking for the arc3 layer. So let's go back to the timeline. Oh, see, everything's selected. So now we have to go back to the arc2 layer. And now this is the one that's selected. And it just so happens to be off to the left. So that's good. We'll go back to the node library. We just want a transparency node. And we're going to put the transparency from arc2 into the transparency node back into the composite. Go back to the color, go back to the timeline. Make sure it wound up in the right place. 50% transparent. So it's right in the middle. So make it 100% transparent and we won't see it at all, right? But right now it's at 80. And that's good that, you know, we can see that it's just really light. So that takes all those colors, which are fully saturated from our color palette, and just makes them, that's reminding us what direction and what spacing to use. Okay, so right here. So this is where we're at. And remember that what we're doing is we're taking this shape right here. I'm on my arc layer and just reminding myself we're going from this shape into this shape here. And we're going from now this shape, which is the tangent for the main key on the bottom, into this position. And then we don't see it because it's way off the screen. It's going to be like way over here. And then we don't see this one either. The underside is like way down here. We don't see it. So we're going to have to tweak it right in here. So we can make a little indicator for ourselves. We're going to have to tweak it right here. And we're not going to technically need to tweak it here because all we need to do is get this shape to animate off the screen. It's going to come from this position and go into this position and go off the screen. And just by the layout right now, you can see that I indicated from our main arc layer that there were some outside bits of smoke that we can take into account too. But on this one, it's different. So instead of this shape moving to this shape, now this version, this is going to move from here to there. And this is better. And so if you all wanted to redo your smoke for next week, I'm not going to grade what you did today at all. Your progress 1 grades are due in a couple of days. You're all doing fine. I'm not going to grade what you submitted today because I think that this one is actually better. It's a different approach, but it's just a little better. All right, so this is our 3 layer. Our 3 layer is just, it's roughed in right here. And then this is the second position for that. And so the first approach is doing it straight ahead where you're kind of just, the other way to do it is to do the main breakdown, the main breakdown position first. So that's what this one is. And if so, we're going to use our gray, and we're going to just make sure that the gray positions are moving correctly. So we're looking at this breakdown position here. This is just a really, really, really rough shape for this main shape going into this main shape. And so we'll do the one on the bottom. This bottom, you know, you can see my cursors going into this shape. And so on this arc, then imagine that there's a sphere here. And so just kind of bring it in right there, just right there, that's fine. And then look at that distance. It's like 2.5 inches. So this little node right here, it's going to be in this position right here. It can be a little bigger too if you want. And then let's go backwards. So right here, now it's starting. And this is the first time we see this under node right here. And so before you get confused, just look at what you're doing. So this shape right here went into this position. So get this shape. So get this moving. And then we don't see it. It's just a little bit of an arc right there. And so this is all new. This stuff right here is new. So now on this one, just what we're looking for is this little shape. It's moving just straight across, just to the right. So, and it's coming about halfway, so about right there. And then a little one. And then it's going to go under. And pay attention to these distances. So you want this shape right here to be about like that, right? And then it's going to connect to this. So this is getting a little bigger. And then you've got this little shape going into here. And then this little under shape right here, you can make it like this. Just give yourself a little thing. And then this shape right here is actually this line right here. So then follow it line by line. This line is like right here. And then this is a medium one. So give it the medium. And then there's a small one. And then this one. And then you've got this big shape right here. All right, so now you've got this little outside puff of smoke, and we're off the screen, but keep doing it anyway so you don't get confused. Just keep going. This shape goes to here. And then we've got a little one and this, and then this shape right here is moving like that. Okay, let's do the bottom. Let's start here because this is what we can see. And let's do its opposite of these guys over here. And so let's make it look good and put a little smaller one right there. And we're trying to get to this position here, right? So we're going to do an outside curve, a medium one. And then we're going to do, so this curve right here move to here. And we're going to do an outside curve, little one, and then we got to connect it to here. So I see a medium space. And then we're gonna translate this little W into just this kind of shape here. All right, now let's go backwards. We see that there's just a simple shape right here. And hold on, something. I'm gonna look at this shape right here on the key positions, which were about 4.5 inches apart. And so this shape on this key right, or the breakdown position, should actually be about right here. And we don't see this one, so just draw it very lightly. All right, something like that. So, and remember, it's going to get cut off about right here. So we don't actually need this. You know, it could be confusing, but it is going to move into this position. All right, so let's continue. All right, so we just have to make sure that we're following the right shapes. And it might even help on the rough to make a little mark. You know, if you have your marks on here that are on the arc, it might be really confusing to copy them, but you could do like a little X right there to make sure that that's what you're doing. This is the X, right? And that might help you. This is the I position. You know, you don't need it because it's right there. All right, so following this, so we're looking at this X. So we see an outside curve right here. And then we see this is a strange inside shape, but just keep it there so you know where it is and put a little space right there. This shape is the downside of this bigger sphere here. And then there's this shape right here, which we're just going to tweak a little bit because it's looking a little funky right there. And it's going to connect. So this line right here is what we're now animating, this one to this one. And then we can see that there's a little W, just do a medium shape. And then the X goes to here. And even though we're off the screen, we're going to keep doing this so we don't get confused. So I see this little W going to here. Let's do a little one, and then it goes into the bigger shape over here. All right, so that's looking okay. We've got something strange right here. And I think that if this is our cauldron, I think that I want to tweak this keyframe just a little bit. I want the smoke, I want to move these over so that they don't look like it's going to jump to the right. So I'm going to tweak this. I'm just going to erase this. And we're just going to fudge this one just a little bit. Remember that if you draw two shapes, so this shape right here has gone up in the same place that it won't move. So we see this little shape right here. So we're going to try to emulate that by just kind of swinging it. I'm talking about this shape right here. So we're just going to swing it to the right. And then we have to connect it to this point right here. And it has to look like smoke. And so just do as minimum as you can. And if you want to make a note for yourself, like a little question mark or something, because you have to catch up on that one. And then connect the bottom. So this shape, this blue shape moved into the gray, and we got to kind of figure out some good smoke shapes to get it working. So something like that should be just fine. Okay, so that is our main breakdown position. And if you toggle between the first key and the breakdown, it's not going to move very much, right? You kind of just have to study like one part at a time. So you look at this little puppy right here, and then you click on your keyframe. It's like, okay, that's moving correctly. This is new. That little hump right there is new. So then just test it, test this one, so that it moves correctly into this position, right? So test it. And oops, I went too far. All right, and so now let's do this position. So this position, let's make sure that we know where we were. I'm gonna turn my onion skin on. And it does get a little daunting, right? Like, where am I? So if we just use our G key to make sure that things were moving correctly, let's turn the onion skin off just for a second. And make sure that the rough lines that we drew here were actually moving correctly. Yeah, because I'm not convinced about this one. So it might be in the right place, but just kind of let's kind of just kind of kill it, right? And it was just a rough anyway. So the F key goes to the first key, and G goes forwards. So what we've got right here is we've got our shape right here moving just about an inch. And so this shape right here is moving just about an inch, right? Everyone see that? And then over here, we can just do that same thing really quickly. F key to go backwards and then forwards. So it's moving a little faster out here. And so you might need just a little bit of this bigger sphere right there. So go back to the first key, second key, second drawing, third drawing. This is your breakdown position. And so now I'm not convinced about this one either. And so just with our main select, which is option S, we're not gonna get all of it because it's just a sketch, so circle it. Let's just kill that one just for a moment. It might be in the right position, but we want to make sure that it's right. In fact, we could kill this one too, just because we want to. Oops, I'm in the pencil tool. We want to make sure that if we make a mistake now, that all this other stuff is going to be screwed up too. So remember, what we're doing is we're animating this sphere on this new arc, and then this sphere on this new arc. And you can see that it's just going, right? It's just expanding, it's getting a little bigger, and that's all we're doing. So let's double check. We go to our first key. Good, got it. Next one, this is correct. So we could do the same thing here with the bottom. It's moving about 3/4 of an inch. And so for this under position, just sketch it in there really lightly. This position, same thing, just it's moving about 3/4 of an inch. Or maybe a little more. This shape is moving about right there. All right, and then remember that we just wanted to get those positions in the right place. And the onion skin isn't helping us because there's too much stuff going on. So let's just test this position again, and this position, and this position. You know, you can see the animation starting to work, right? All right, so let's just get this position working. Actually, this is our first in between. So this is our first pink drawing right here. And let's just turn the onion skin on for just a moment and then turn it back off again, because you just want to see where we are, where we used to be. All right. And I know that it works better if it's on paper, but you just have to not get confused. You're just moving to the right. These shapes are moving to the right. And this one is our breakdown position. That's everything is in the middle. So that means that this drawing that we did was supposed to be between the breakdown position and the main key. So we're looking at the pink. And so we're doing pink. This one, it's going to move to the pink. This one, it's moving to the pink, and it's getting bigger. All right, so this one is moving to the pink. The first pink. You know, one thing that we could do here to really not be confused is to take this second pink and change the color to more of a red or purple or something. So we don't get confused because you don't want it to go backwards. So the second pink is now going to be purple. Second pink is now purple. From the key position, the second pink is now purple. And you could indicate that by some other graphic way of remembering so that there's like a, I'm trying to think of something simple. I don't want to use a dot because that's, I'm just going to use like another little line underneath it. Just like that. All right, does that make sense to anybody, everybody?
Yeah, it's making sense.
So yeah, because even though technically it's correct, and you could do the same thing with this green color, that, but I don't think so, because the green is just your in-betweens. So let's not screw with our arc on the green colors. What we're looking at here is getting this main red position, the pink position done first. So, and I think we're there. I think that it's in the right place. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions that are working. This shape is moving. So this is off the screen. We're not going to see it. All right, so let's just toggle back to F and go forwards to G, back to F, back to G. All right, so I think that's working right here. And I think that we're just going to do the same thing that we did. We're going to kind of look at this shape first and just, this is one of those things where your hands have memory. And I would recommend just doing this the same kind of way, drawing this shape first, then going backwards and remembering where you are. So now you're going to draw, there's like an intermediate little puff of smoke right here. And so get this shape moving into this shape. And then there's like a little hump right there. And then 2 little ones, and then go backwards. And then remember that you got to kind of hook it up over here. And so you don't have to draw that one yet. Just go get this part working. So you've got this outside curve here, and then these 2 little shapes right there. Then this one about right there. And remember, just look at it. Your eye should pick up on the fact that you're moving at or around 1.5 inches or so. So this one's going to be about right there. And then you're doing this little curve. And then you're doing this one. And you can see that this overall reaching shape is just going to go off the screen. All right, so now go back to this one. And again, it helps if you do it in the same kind of order. This shape right here is got, and it's opposite of this right here. So it's got this little shape. And then we got this odd little shape again, which we kind of tweaked a little bit and just did that. All right, pick up this shape right here, moves into this. And then this is moving to here. So now I got this odd shape right here, which has got an outside curve to this. And then here, and then here, and then a little one, and a super little one, and then off the screen. Now we're going to go backwards. All right, so now we're going backwards. This shape is here. Then there's like a little bit right here. Okay, so that's all in the right place. And then right here, I think it's okay. Just make it look like smoke. And here now you're gonna, on this drawing here, you're gonna kind of borrow this. And you could even copy and paste it if you want. You'd have to switch your tools, or you could just put your mouse right there, go F or G key forwards and draw this. G key forwards, draw it again, G key forwards, it's already there. And so just go backwards to the first drawing and make sure that that paint 2 line is in the same place. And that'll help you. If you want to, another thing that you can do is right here, you can put like, this was the very center of the volcano. So you can put your mouse right there and then just go to the next key, make that, this is the center where the smoke is actually coming from. And this is your rough. And so that gives you an indication of where these shapes are going to come from. You don't want these outside curves here to stall. You don't want them to do anything funky, like stalling or going backwards or anything. This is the place where you just go from, this is your first key, and then this is the first, this is the breakdown position. So they're going to move up a little bit and then go backwards. And without the onion skin, just kind of wing it, right? Just kind of just figure this out and then see what it looks like. So this is your first key, and then see if it animates. You know, and a lot of strange stuff is allowed to happen right there. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing here. This one is technically our green drawing, right? This is our first green. So let's just make sure we're in the right place. This is our first key. We're going to go backwards. And so this is our, I'm sorry, this is our breakdown position right here. This is the eye drawing. And then this one should be the first pink drawing, right? So see that center point right there belonging to this. This is our first pink drawing, right? So all of that's okay. And then, so we're going to go backwards, and then that means this is going to be the first green drawing. So what we're going to do right now is we're just going to not confuse ourselves. We're going to add 2 frames to each one of these positions, just with our plus sign all the way off on the right side of your keyboard. And we're just going to put this on 4s right now, just so that we're not going to confuse ourselves. So even this drawing right here, we're going to put on 4s. And this will help us with the onion skin. If we go to this drawing here, turn the onion skin back on and just limit it. Oops, this is always tricky with the pen tool or the stylus. Just limit it to just a couple of drawings before and a couple of drawings coming forwards. You know, that should help you, especially when you're just trying to figure out where things are going. Now let's just see how it's looking. So this is our first key, and now we can go to the second one. And we've only drawn a couple of lines there. The green is coming next. All right, so let's turn our onion skin back off again. And we're on this drawing here. So this shape right here is coming out. Hold on a second, let me make sure. Oh yeah, we want to finish, this drawing is close. So we want to finish this drawing first. So let's get these shapes working. And pay attention to that little center point that you made. And test this little area right here to make sure it's working. So go to the F key, go back to the first frame. Oops, sorry. Go to the first frame and just go frame by frame by frame to see if it's working. Just that first little part right there. Just, oops, sorry. Just this part right here. All right. So let's remember what drawing we're on. This is our breakdown position. We're going backwards. That one's looking okay. This is a little funky town right here. And then let's go to this, which is, again, which should be our green drawing. Okay. And we do the same thing. So we're going to just get this shape moving, and then this shape, and then this shape goes to here. And then as you go along with this, so your hands again should have memory. You're going to be just kind of mimicking the same kind of movements. This shape is going into here. Then you got this little shape, and then the odd little outside curve there. All right, this shape is going here. There's an outside curve there. There's a bigger outside curve, a smaller one. Then this shape goes to here. And then there's a little one, and remember this is going to here. So you've got an outside shape. This shape right here, we haven't actually keyed that, or it's not part of the breakdown, but just get this shape right here to go off the screen. And pay attention to the distance. So you've got about an inch or so. So we're just talking about that shape, and then this shape, and this overall arc right here, this like U shape right here has got to go to the right a little bit. So you just use that in your mind's eye and make sure you're not doing a snake. Make sure you're, even in this rough form here, that you are bringing in a variety of shapes. Now this is going to tweak around a little bit here because I haven't followed medium, small, medium, medium. I did medium, small, medium, small. And so it's going to just wiggle around a little bit, but smoke can do that. So this shape right here, this little shape right here is now this place, and then this one, and then this one, and then you figure out whether you want these two shapes to be opposed and you're off the screen. All right, now you go backwards. Now you're going from this shape, you're going here. Remember, just like our pixie dust, if these two lines are right on top of each other, they won't technically move. So you want to make sure that there's a nice variety of shape. All right, so that's our second drawing. This is our third drawing. Oops, I went too fast, sorry. Our first drawing, second drawing, third drawing, and our breakdown drawing. All right, does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions so far? So again, what we did from our arc position, we did our first key. This is great. We did it. Our first key is done. And you don't want to make any marks on here like check mark, because then you'll be really confused. But what we did is we did this drawing first. Yes, everyone okay? And then we did this pink drawing. Is everyone following along?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we did this green drawing. Yes?
Yes.
This is tricky part. So we could do this if we made like a little key over here and said our first key position is got this kind of mark in it. And so that's our key position. And then on our animation chart, we're going to go from key position to key position. And then our breakdown position was this eye drawing right here. And then the first in between was here. And then the second in between was this darker purple thing. And then we're going to do an in between each one of these. So so on your chart, you can keep track of this, maybe even with black, and you can say, okay, our key is done and our breakdown position is done. And this first pink drawing is done. You know, you want to keep it orderly so you can see what you're doing. And so this first pink drawing was done. And then this drawing was done. Now we got to do this one. So this is the drawing that we're working on right now. And so if we it'd be great to put these little cues in here. So this is our first key. This is our the drawing with the eye shape. And then this is the pink drawing. And then this is the green drawing. So right here we need this green drawing. And the green drawing needs a new frame. So just open this up and say, we'll put a blank drawing right there. And then make sure everything's on 4s. So get this to have an extra frame, and then get this new drawing to have 3 extra frames. So it's all on 4s. And this one's on 5s for some reason. So take it back down to 4. And so this drawing is nothing there. This is this drawing right here. Right? Does everyone understand that? And so all of what we've done is we've done this one and we've gone backwards, and then we're going to have to go forwards. Now we're going to have to do these 3 drawings. And once you've done these 3 drawings, you should be done. because these are all copies out here. So we're doing this green drawing right here. All right, so we want to turn our onion skin on just for a moment. And we're going to look at our limitation. We want to just make sure that we can see it properly. So we're just going to get one frame of the frame going into it and one frame that it came from, just so that we're not visually confused. And that should be good. All right, so this is a blank drawing technically. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick up our gray rough color that we were using. And we're going to make sure that we're not going to be visually confused. You can see that it's got a better look to it. It's just a little more complicated to do. All right, so with our hands on our keyboard, I'm going to go F to go to the drawing before. And then the drawing coming up is blank. And sometimes you can just make a mark and it makes everything a little bit more easy to see. But right now, so then this is our eye drawing. This is the and I shouldn't use eye because it kind of indicates in between, but it's really a breakdown drawing. So again, we're doing this green drawing right here. We're doing this green drawing right here. All right. We're going from pink into green. We're going to start in the same place. So this is about an inch. And we can see that we're going from pink into green. And we're going from this position on the outside left side of the arc into this position. So the in-between is right here. See that? I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to make sure everyone understands that part. This red drawing is going into the green drawing here. Let me redo that. So I'm just going to draw the in-between is like this. And this is the thing that I sent you last week of trying to get the spheres working. And let's test it, right? So just see if that line is in the right place. It looks like it's in the right place. All right, so this is where we are. We're on this drawing right here. So let's just animate. So this shape right here, put it right there. Let's get the main forms working correctly too. So we're going from red into green. So let's just put this one into place. We're going from red into green. Let's just put this one into place. We're going from red into green. All right, this looks like it's moving a little slow even though it's off the screen. So we're just gonna put that line right there. All right, red into green, red into green, red into green, okay. So I think it should be okay. Red into green. All right, so let's just animate this shape right here. This shape goes to there, the red into the green. So this green here, do it about halfway. So this shape right here goes into green, it's about halfway. And then this shape goes to there. And then this connected up, this becomes the top. And then red into green, that's correct. This shape goes, this shape right here goes like that. And then you did this little mini thing here, which helps you because then you go here, red into green. All right, so one thing that we didn't do is we didn't do the bottom of this. So let's just put that in there, red into green, okay. All right, just follow along, you're going red into green. So red moves to the right. Let's do this part at first, at the top right here. This red is going to move here. This shape is moving to the right, and then it's coming up, and then it's going off the screen, just like that. All right, let's get this part working. So red is moving to the right. And it's opposite of here. And then there's a little circle. Let's do a little one and then a medium one. Right now, let's go backwards. So now we're going from here. All right, so now we're going to do this is the red where it just came from, so it has to move up. And that little nub right there has to move up. This little thing right there that we drew has to move up just a little bit. So do like that. And again, you're just kind of winging this part. Just make sure that it looks different. It's like there's a lot of energy happening right there. And as long as it's in a different place, it should move correctly. There's a lot of turbulence going on right there. You could even introduce a new outside curve right there. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got. Just going to go all the way back to our first keyframe, and we're going to go slowly. Let's turn our onion skin off. All right, first keyframe. All right, has everyone got the idea? So what we've done on our chart, and I'm gonna spend a little bit of time to try to get as far into these drawings as we can. We just did this drawing right here. So now what we have to do is this drawing. We have to do the darker pink drawing. All right, so in doing it this way, there's a really great thing, a great process. All the way up until this point, I was wishing that I had my paper and that I could be flipping my paper and that I could be seeing it as a regular traditional 2D animator. But now doing this pink drawing right here, we get to have our first frame again. So right now what we've got to do is we've got to go from this breakdown position into the blue drawing. We're going to go halfway, right? And so we don't need to copy and paste the first drawing because we've got it there. It's on this ARC2 layer. It's just, or it's on the layout drawing underneath it, right? And we could just, even with this layout drawing, if we ever got confused, we could put a transparency node on it. Right now, it's probably one of this layout color right here, so it's already kind of diminished very easily. What we're going to do right now is and I had an animator friend who used to do this, where they would go to this position and put a blank drawing, but I don't like that because it doesn't let you see what's coming before it. So we're just going to go to the next drawing here. And if you make a mark and you can see that it changes the transparency, then you can do that. But what you need to do is turn your onion skin on. And now you're realizing what you're doing. You're going from this position, which is the breakdown position, into the main key. So on this drawing right here, we're just going to take this as our darker purple, and we're going to look at this drawing right here. So this is the left side of the sphere. This is the left side of the sphere. So get your pen to go back and forth and go about halfway, and then animate, just go up, right? And then get the right side of the sphere. It's going to go from this position into this position. And that's important to get your eye set correctly, right? Because then this is the in-between position. So get that arc working. And then finish the sphere. This is why working with the spheres as a cartoon version is actually a little bit easier to work with. This is going to go into this position. This position is going to go into the bigger sphere over here. So you go about halfway. See that? And then you go about halfway, about like that. And then go backwards. So this sphere here is on our main key. So this is the in-between. This is the technical in-between is right there. All right, let's make sure we got all our parts. Nope, we're missing this part right here. So somewhere around here, this little convoluted bunch of stuff that we did in the red drawing has got to move into this key position. And I'm going to change my mind just by position because what we're doing is we're moving about 1.5 inches. And so I need to get into this position right here, about 1.5 inches backwards, which is about right here. All right, and then we're gonna test this. This looks okay. This looks okay. All right, so just the same thing that we did before. We're gonna start with this little upper loop right here. We're gonna draw this first, and then we're gonna connect this. So we might be able to do this one right here. Just like that. All right, now let's go backwards. So we're going from red into blue, right? Got it? Red into blue. So let's do this part first. This little bit right here. We got this outside curve, and then it's going to go under, and then it's going to go up. So now we're doing this one moving about 1.5 inches. And then we're doing this, and then this little down loop right here is moving about 1.5 inches. And it looks like it's a little too far to the left. So I'm gonna, because it's got to connect to this shape right here. All right. All right, so now let's go forwards on this shape. So we see an outside curve here. And then we see this silly little inside curve. Let's just keep it so that we don't get confused. All right, so this shape here has this little red shape right there is moving off the screen. We can give ourselves like a little medium outside curve right there. Now we'll go to this shape and go forward. So the red's moving into blue. Red is moving into blue. So we see this red shape, and we're going to put our mouse right here, and we're going to look to see where on the blue drawing this shape moves into. And it's these shapes right here. So just put an outside shape, and then a small one, and then a medium, oops, and then a medium one. All right, so now I'm trying to find the bottom part of this arc. So the red is going into the blue. And I'm seeing that there's just something not matching perfectly right here. So let me go backwards first. So red is going into blue. Red is going into blue. So I want to do this shape and then this shape. This shape. The red is going into the blue. So now I'm going to get this red shape to come up into this position. Red is going into blue. And then you can kind of see, now all you have to do is kind of connect these to get them to work. I'm going to erase just a little bit of this. All right, so not only are you paying attention to where the in-between is going, but you're also paying attention to what the shape looks like as you're drawing it. Remember, we're doing the pink drawing here, the darker pink, the darker purple almost. All right, so now I'm back to this little bit here. And my eyes are animating up to it. All right, so there's got to be an outside curve. This inside curve here, red going into the blue. So let's just see what happens if we put this like this. All right, and then going backwards, so red and the blue. So this is this shape right here is now becoming And then oh, come on, stop it, Toon Boom. All right, then we got just a couple of little bits to draw. All right, so let's turn off our onion skin and see how that looks. We're gonna go all the way back to the first frame. Let's actually put this one on 4s and go to the first frame and go, oops, sorry. And follow one little bit at a time. Put your mouse here again, one little bit at a time. One little bit at a time. Just watch it. All right, so you can see this one's different, right? You can see this one's a little better. Each one of these things is moving on its own track. You've got an S shape. Technically, what you've got is an S shape moving along the arc like this. The S shape, what I mean by the S shape is this, like the top and the bottom of the arc. And it's just like the flag. If you look at this, it looks just like the flag. All right, so this drawing here was our purple drawing. And so right now I'm going to guess that you all understand what I'm doing, right? And I'm going to come back to the class just for a second. Everyone understand what's going on? I know it's a little visually tricky, but I think that this is a better way. I think the first version that I gave you last week works. It's just simple. This one is a little bit more complicated. You got to admit this one, but I think it looks better if you look at it, and you can just see that if I put the loop on here to frame, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to loop it because it's going to move oddly. But if you just move your drawings with your G key, you can see that it's moving better. It looks more like a volcano smoke, right? So I think that that's working. And remember that as soon as I do, now I don't know where my marks went. I'm scared because I think I drew them on the wrong. I think these marks are on the wrong place. I'm going to transfer those marks. Actually, let me get rid of those marks. Alt S. And put them on the arc layer. So what you're doing, the only thing that I didn't do from this demo are these two drawings, these two green in-betweens, and it should work. You know, if let's just see if I'm gonna bring my limit down to frame 24, 23, 24. And now I'm just going to put my mouse on the first drawing, the key drawing, and hit the G key. So there should be a jump, but you can see that it's moving correctly, right? I'm going to go slow now. All right, so one thing I can do is as long as I'm on in this mode right here, I'm going to just really quickly animate this hole, right? And I can see that this hole is just after this shape right here. So I'm just going to move that hole to the right just a little bit. First drawing, second drawing. So I did this one. So now let's do this this one, this hole right here. And again, it's moving about that far. It's off the screen right now, so you're kind of off the hook a little bit. And you can stop. Let's go to the first drawing. Let's make sure that it's going backwards now. So this hole has to be about right here. It's gonna be a little smaller. And then going backwards, it's gonna be even just a little smaller. That's weird. Oh, I'm drawing. No, that's right. Okay. And then first one. So I'm just going to put a little hole right there. All right. So let's do the same thing with this little outside. So on this key, we're just going to copy the first little puff of smoke. And this one. And we're going to do all three of these at the same time. And we're going to go to the next drawing. And we're just going to put that in there. Remember, it's about 1 inch. On the track. This one's off the screen already, so you're kind of off the hook. And we're not in betweening this. We're just doing this straight ahead. Oh, I did that one backwards. You see that? See that? That one's backwards. So you might want your onion skin on. Let's go to this. So now we're in this drawing, and we're just going to put that. Hey, where'd it go? Oh, there we go. Next drawing. Just to get it in the right place. Next drawing. Now it's moving upwards a little bit and getting a little bigger. This one is going off the screen. Now it's off the screen. All right, let's see how that looks. So now, well, let's turn it off. So now we're just looking at that little puff of smoke, just to make sure that we didn't make it go backwards. All right, so everyone understand that? So that's looking pretty good. Remember, we're still missing 2 drawings in this cycle. All right, so let me spend the last, I'm going to save this. I didn't save all morning. So now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to save this and put it away. So now let's do the other one. So let's do new. This one is going to be smoke 2 desktop 1920 by 1080. Let's just pick the smaller one. Okay, new shot. Deselect, color card, deselect, drawing, turn this into the BG, new layer, oops, sorry, new layer, drawing. This one's going to be rough, add and close. We're going to add a new layer, new drawing. This is going to be our layout. Add and close. All right, so let's just start right there with the color selected. This is going to be our layout color. Let's pick a medium blue. Medium blue. Okay. All right, in the layout, what we're looking at then is something like this, something like this one. And we don't want it to be exactly the same, but the technique that we just used, so I'm just seeing what's cross-referencing down here. I'm not getting, that one's okay. This one's way too complicated. Let's just stay with that one. All right, so in our layout, with our layout color, again, we're thinking about cinematic thirds. So, and I'm gonna just do this left to right again. I'm gonna look at my cinematic thirds. I'm gonna pick just a line right here. I'm going to toggle back and forth. So I'm going to see outside curve, inside curve. So I'm going to just do just a couple of swings. I'm going to look at this and go backwards. I'm going to go Make this a little bit more roundy. I'm going to change that one a little bit. All right. So it starts, it becomes a little wider, a little thinner, a little wider, crosses over each other, and goes off the screen. All right. I need an arc layer. I need an arc color. All right, on the arc, what we've got is this node animating into this node, animating into this node. So it's going to dip down a little bit and then come up here. It's okay if it speeds up a little bit, that's okay. It's going to go from this node with an I to this node with an I to this node with an I. That's the bottom part. All right, and as long as I do this, you probably should completely understand what we're doing. So the middle part of this arc, if I just went like this is the main trajectory of the smoke, like that. All right, so let me take the arc layer and extend it out for 60 frames. Let's take the layout, extend it to 60 frames. That's F5. All right, so what we're going to do then, we're going to use another color here. I'm just going to call this one color 2. And in color 2, again, what we're going to do is this is the in-between, the breakdown. And then this is the breakdown position on the top arc. And then going backwards, this is a breakdown position. This is a breakdown position. And then this is a breakdown position. And then going forwards, this is a breakdown position. All right, so then we're going to do our first key. Actually, we're just going to call this S for smoke. And we're going to, oops, okay. Add a new color, and we're going to call this S for smoke. Actually, we could call it SR, smoke rough. And we're going to give it just this like red gray. Say okay. Let's go back to our layer and name it SR as well, just to be consistent. All right, and then again, if you wanted to just really quickly diminish your layout and diminish the arc without using nodes, this is just the easiest way. This gives you a way to do it. Go to your 2 color, diminish it, just so that you're not driving your eyes crazy. And it looks like we might have used the red for that. And I don't know what we used for these breakdown positions here. All right, so let's do this one more time. All right, so now let's do our first key. So this is our smoke rough. This is our smoke rough. And with the smoke rough color, let's just set our first key. Again, we just kind of want to look at this and just go, just give yourself a rough line. And remember that you're just kind of looking at the top of the line and the bottom of the line, just to get them done first, just to get the overall motion working. All right. That's our first key. And again, we've got the key set. So let's do the breakdown position. You know, you can do this either way. You can just say, I need 8 drawings. I'm going to just mark on my arc. I'm going to say, okay, on my arc, I understand, I'm getting it. I need this and this and this, 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 and this. This is drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is drawing 1 again. So if you want, one way to make this really organic is to just go for it and just say, I'm on my smoke, I'm using my smoke color, and you're going to move about this far. It's about 3/8 of an inch. It would probably behoove you to set your keys. So just go like this and say, I'm going to draw this line right here, just as my first paint 2 line. And I'm going to Option S this line, copy it, and I'm just going to go to the next frame with my greater than sign and paste it, greater than sign, paste it, greater than sign, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I've got my key set and all I need to do is like draw. So now I'm going to go to my pencil. It's in the rough. I'm going to turn my onion skin on and I'm just going to move this up about that far, right? And I'm going to start in this, basically in the same place. Now, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong drawing. I'm on the next drawing. So now I'm just, and I'm moving, I want to start this line in the pretty much in the same place. So just go up and move it up a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Move it up a little bit by just a little bit, right? Sorry, squiggly line, let me fix that. And that might be too far, that might be too much right there. So I'm gonna redo this one because this line has got to move into that line. So I want to make sure I give myself enough room to do that. What was that? Someone's chiming on me. All right, now the bottom, start in the exact same place and move it up a little bit. All right, so the only truly tricky thing here is that you got to cross these lines over in the right place. Does that make sense? Let's go to the next drawing. And the other truly tricky thing is that this, it's got to go over here. So start moving it. You can even start right now. You can just go like this, move it up a little bit. And come on, Toon Boom. Oop, I don't like that. All right, so I'm going to diminish my before drawing by just 1 extra frame so I don't visually confuse myself. All right, so I'm on the 3rd drawing here. So, right, you've got to get this all the way over there in just a couple of drawings. So I think I'm going to start moving it quite a bit further. And this way is actually kind of fun. The only other thing that I didn't clue you in on is that this outside shape right here has to start somewhere, right? It has to kind of animate up into this position. And that's the only other really tricky thing. This one is actually kind of fun. Just kind of you always just have to remember that which way are your lines going. And as soon as you've got your lines in the right place, then you can embellish it just a little more. Oh, that one's in the wrong place. It has to keep moving upwards or it won't move correctly. And it also kind of makes sense to just do one line at a time. Right now, this is actually set for 2 frames, so just move it to 1 so that you're really not confused. And again, just test it. So just use your F and G keys. Turn your onion skin off and just see if it's actually moving. See it? See how it's moving? And so this one, it worked. The thing that makes this work is that this outside shape is going to animate into this outside shape. And so with just 8 drawings, and we're only on 1s right now, which is ridiculous. And we'll put this on 8s or something like that. And you could do that now. You could just say drawing 1, 1, 2, 3, that's on 4s. The next drawing 1, 2, 3 are on 4s. So now you're on 4s, 32 frames total. And you've got this lined out here. Just to keep it clean. Pencil tool. All right, so onion skin on. So now you just see the drawing before. So now you're on this drawing. So you got to go all the way over here. So start here and really kind of push that one going. Always start these lines in the same place. This one's going over here. This one's moving out a little bit. All right, then do the bottom. You know, and something kind of funny is here, like this little fin part's getting weird right there. You can cross over that line if you want, but I would do it later. I would, because lines can cross over. Smoke can certainly cross over each other. If you go back and look at this, you can see that the interior lines are crossing over each other, but just do the main form first. So this has got to get all the way over here. So now bring this one a little faster. And I'm doing the bottom line. And then this is going to have to go up. This is a great exercise in figuring out where arcs move and how to get them to move correctly, just with 8 drawings. Next drawing. So we got to get over, see the blue? We got to get over there. We've got 3 drawings to get over there. So this is, now we're done. Now we're doing the bottom red line. And the other thing about doing it this way is that this is a really nice, forgiving way to get something cool working. It's just tricky because you have to remember where your arcs are going. We got 2 drawings to get to this shape right here. So let's go for it. And our last drawing. So now we got 1 drawing to get from the red into the blue, red into the blue. See how easy that is? So let's play with this just a little bit for the last 5 minutes. We're going to take our limiter out. And we're going to put this on 8s. So add a drawing, 4 drawings to each one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next drawing, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're on 8s. F5, F5. Put your limiter down to frame 64. Now you got smoke, a wispy smoke. Save. Right, I just saved. Now we've got a wispy smoke animating with 8 keyframes on 8s really fast. All right, so I made a mistake. If you see right here, the loop doesn't work absolutely correctly right here. And I think that in your layout, if you bring your layout up again, that when you're looking at your volcano setup, you could certainly do the smoke that we just did. We spent all morning doing the better version of the volcano smoke right here. But for the away volcano, if there's a volcano in the distance, you might want to use this one. You could do two different smokes on the same layout. There's no reason why you can't do that. It's a great idea. Right now, this week, we're supposed to be doing, I think we're supposed to be starting tornadoes. Hold on a second. We're supposed to be doing tornadoes. But we're going to skip that. We're going to jump ahead because I want to do eruptions and water and lava and mud, all with this. So we're scrambling things around just a little bit. But this is kind of cool, right? You can kind of see it. Actually, it's kind of moving a little fast, right? You might want to put this on 8s. So I'm sorry, you might want to put it on 16s. And then in order to do an in-between, you would just go here, you would turn your onion skin on. Now you're going to have to change your limiter. And then this is a really simple in-between. See this? You go from the black into the green, from the black into the green. As long as it's working, as long as the main loop is working, you can have total fun with this one. But I think this one should be moving really on 16s. And again, this is just really rough. There actually looks like there's a mistake right here. See it? It looks like it's moving backwards. So I'd have to fix that little bit right there to make sure that it's moving correctly before I do any other drawings. All right, so again, I'm not going to put any grades on your smoke this week. I would suggest doing it the way I just showed you. It looks better. The first version that I showed you is legitimate. It's okay. It's really simple. If you were ever asked to animate smoke in a game, it's just the easiest way to do it. Just bloop, 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 it comes out. The way I showed you today is just a little more complicated, but it's better. It's better. It's a little difficult to keep track of things, but it is better. So I would recommend doing both of the new smoke I just showed you for today and the second new smoke I showed you for today. That was really fun. It's really great. You're all invited to that Pinterest board and go for it. It shouldn't take you longer than I just showed you. And just give me roughs. It doesn't have to be done next week. Just give me roughs, and then I could say, okay, go clean it up. What you probably should be doing is figuring out where that smoke is in your volcano scene. So make sure you do your thumbnails and you know where you want it. Are you going to go from left to right, or are you going to go from right to left. That's a big consideration to make for both the two smokes, because the wind is probably going to be moving the same way. Challenge yourself. I just showed you all 3 demos here going left to right. Now go right to left. It's not that hard of a change, and it might cue you into the visual quality of following shapes. Again, I'm not going to put grades on this smoke you did today. And most of that is my fault, just because I was a little confusing, and I'll take full responsibility. Jihi, the next time you see me, you can smack me with a stick. Isaiah, you can smack me with a rubber hose or something. But Louisa, you have to be nice to me.
So we have to do 2 smokes for homework?
Well, the one I just showed you only took 10 minutes.
Wait, what was that? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The one that I just showed you only took 10 minutes.
Okay, so we're doing 2.
I think that when you do your sketch for your volcano,
Okay.
but just put the near volcano with this gruesome smoke,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And then have a volcano that's way off in the distance, just got that little wispy stuff, and it's easy, it's fun, and it makes your whole animation that much better. But you're gonna have to do your sketch first.
Okay.
You're going to have to figure out where you want it.
So is the one that we're turning in next week still a rough or
It's still a
final?
rough.
Okay.
Yeah, just a rough.
Okay.
And once again, I know some of you like to find that final line when you're doing your roughs, but don't worry. Just draw roughly. And the final will be due in 2 weeks from today. Because this is important, because when you do the fire, it's based on everything. The flag and the smoke and the fire are all based on that same wave principle. When you're doing a dog's tail wagging, it's just a little different. It's in the same category. Or seaweed moving under the water. There's a similarity there. We don't do that in this class, but in animation, there is a similarity. This is how the arcs move. And it's important. It's like, to me, I think the pixie dust is fun. It's easy, right? You can kind of see that there's a smoke quality to the aurora that's happening in the GIF right behind my head, right? A little bit. All right, so again, just roughs for next week, and I won't grade next week either. So these 2 smokes will be due in 2 weeks. And then, like I said, remember, do your drawings so that you're getting your smoke in the right place so that you can just do your volcano. This is the volcano. And remember, you have the access to that JPEG that I drew for you. Where are you want fire in there? And you should probably be thinking about rain. And you should probably be thinking about mud bubbles, because that's part of the class. And water splashes. That putting the water splash in this you would need a lake or a pond or something. And so follow my little drawing. Don't copy my drawing exactly. Do your own artistic interpretation of it. And that, you should be doing that too. So you've got a rough for the new smoke, a rough for the second new smoke. It's second and third new smoke. And then the drawing that's going to drive your volcano. That's a big project, and do it midterm. Because then on top of that, you're going to put mud and fire and water and rain and lightning. Always lightning. And then I'll show you how to move clouds, because all you do is draw one cloud and then boom, you move it. And you can get the whole scene working. Right? And then remember that your next big thing is the tornado, which we're skipping today. That's actually really easy. We're only going to take a week on the tornado. We're just going to put everything back together from the outline. And I think that ending with a chemistry lab is really good, because then you all are not confused. But if you want to, you can do something different. You can do something different. It's just that the the chemistry lab gives you an orb. It gives you explosion, it gives you rain, it gives you fire, and you can have a lot of fun with it, taking the last 3 weeks of the semester. And you should be doing the sketch for that too. You should be doing the sketch for what your tornado looks like. And again, those are 7 squares by 4 squares. 7 by 4 is very close to 16 by 9 ratio. I think I went over that last week. All right, a recording of this will be up in an hour or so on the class if you need it. And I will see you all next week.
Thank you.
Okay, second
Thank
smoke and third smoke. Second smoke rough and do this wispy smoke. It's fun. The idea was it would be to match that thing in Pinterest, and as soon as you get the main form working, then you go back and you put another line in the middle and then another one and then cross it over. It's really fun to do cigarette smoke. And then there's all kinds of different variations on my Pinterest board as well. It doesn't have to look like the one I just gave you. And I will see you all next week. Javon, you owe me a flag. Javon. All right, I will see you all next week.
All right, bye.
Okay, ciao for now.
Bye.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.